Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Reddit Universe. What do the rich buy that the poor don't even know is available for purchase? You can rent celebrities for your private events. Not just musicians, but bona fide actors and actresses. Super rich guy in Bel Air used to host his kid's birthday party in late October, so they went all out for a Halloween themed party. Everyone at the kid's school was invited, plus their own friends. Each year they'd hire some fantastic athlete to appear at the event. One year it was Tony Hawk, another year it was some Olympic gold medal gymnastic winners. The one that threw me was when they hired Demi Moore, Anthony Kiedis and Benicio del Toro to be guests at the party, to hang out and pretend they were friends with the kid. Mind you, this was a kid's Halloween party, set outside in a huge, massive garden, spread out over tennis courts and lawns, with games, buffets, dessert tables, taco stands, omelette stands, BBQ, pizza, burgers, etc. No booze, no one allowed inside. All the event staff were dressed in Halloween costumes. It was very cool. But it was sad to see Kiedis and the Toro sitting together commiserating. You could see the things we do for a paycheck look on their faces. They were at a kid's party for frick's sake. Demi was very nice. She brought her little doggies. But it was sad to see Kiedis and the Toro sitting together commiserating. You could see the things we do for a paycheck look on their faces. They were at a kid's party for frick's sake. Yeah, my heart bleeds for these two millionaires who can command thousands of dollars just to be glorified entertainers at a kid's party. A while back some guy on here was talking about his experience working as a sort of personnel manager for a billionaire and how things are just wildly different for them. The specific example he used was how things work when these people want to go on a trip and give any notice at all to their employees. What happens is that an advance team gets sent ahead by a few days to scope out the rented, bought location and report back exact dimensions for closet space, drawer space, etc. People back at the home go through the clothing, jewelry, etc. and draw up a priority list which is sent to the advanced team. The advanced team then spends the next 2 days purchasing the list of items. Entire wardrobes, jewelry sets, makeup kits, bathing supplies, etc. Anything they cannot get, not enough time, or is one of a kind like the family heirloom watch the rich dude wears every now and then, is relayed to the house team. The family's schedule is arranged such that the moment the family leaves the house on the day of travel, a whole team of people rushes through and packs up all the remaining items. Only after the family leaves, you wouldn't want to deny them access to their items for even a few seconds, which are then sent ahead to the airport while the family has a lunch or something somewhere. Upon landing, their luggage takes one route direct, and the family takes a similarly indirect route unless otherwise directed, such that by the time they get to the location all of their items are not just unpacked, but in their proper organized locations and ready for use without any of the advanced team ever being visible to the family. What happens when the family leaves the location? The same situation in reverse, but quite frequently all of the repurchased items are just disposed of in some method. It's just easier, if not cheaper, to rebuy them each time the family goes somewhere if they aren't traveling to too many different locations in quick succession. This is some pharaohs of Egypt level shit. How are these billionaires even functional people when literally everything is done for them in life? Will Smith recently said in an interview that Oprah has been famous and wealthy for so long that she just forgets about the simplest things, because she's used to her minders taking care of things like carrying her coffee. Will Smith then mentioned that he once saw Obama fetch some food for Oprah. A person to go to jail for you in your stead. This is a known phenomenon in Latin America, but I imagine it happens in other places as well. Certainly amongst the accuser it happens. I knew a guy who did 8 years for his boss and got paid. Hey man. My family is one medium accident or bad event away from completely imploding. If push came to shove, I'd serve time to make sure everyone else stays afloat. Private boarding gate at certain airports. Complete with showers, a spa, full bar, lounge, food, a bed, gym, sauna, etc. Total privacy. Your luggage is scanned and taken through security by a concierge, and you're driven to the plane in a BMW 8 Series. LAX has them now. Hello, yes, I would like to order some wealthiness just so I can have access to the private boarding gate. Yes, I'll hold, thank you. Edited to add. Shut up, you guys. I'm on the phone, and thanks for the silver and the chuckles. Fran, this guy doesn't even have enough money to have someone else call for him. Just leave him on hold for an hour. Yeah, but then when you get on the plane you're still stuck in the cattle car of first class with all the other plebeians. The animals in the back are even still breathing the same air as you. Clearly a private jet is the only civilized way to travel. Actual smart homes. The Alexa, Google Home market is bringing it more mainstream, but for decades the wealthy elite have had smart home functionality through companies like Crestron. The controls go far beyond controlling your lights and thermostat, and integrate with more technologies. Goddamn, Crestron brings back nightmares from my AV tech days in college. I had a buddy who hired a driver, got him to get a chauffeur's license, and then made sure his Jaguar was long enough to meet criteria as a limo, and then he could legally drink in the back seat. When I traveled with him internationally, someone met us at the door when we were dropped off, and they walked us to our plane. None of that customs, security stuff occurred. In our way your vehicle doesn't have to meet length requirements. My husband worked with a guy whose wife got her chauffeur's license so he could drink in the back seat of their sedan. True love right here. True, I were right there. Everyone knows about mega yachts, but the very rich also enjoy their own trains, or at the very least private super luxurious train cars. With their budgets it isn't expensive to rent space on freight lines and an engine, assuming they don't own their own. Sometimes a group of friends will hook their private cars together and motor around a continent having a big party. Now I am imagining some fat cat in his luxury train car between a bunch of loads of coal and some hobos in an empty boxcar. Mr. Burns. This could take a good while. Why don't you get drunk and stumble around comically for my amusement? Smithers. I will be a one-man conga line, sir. Although not around the continent, I have been lucky enough to be invited on a rich friend's train trips. One from San Francisco to Reno, Nevada and back, in the winter, going through the mountains. Beautiful. And one going from SF to LA and back, in the summer, along the coast, also beautiful. Both trips we had 3 vintage train cars, 1920, 1935 and 1940, full bar, sit down dining. Everyone dressed up vintage and it was fantastic. What train travel is in our fantasies. Not like Amtrak these days with packaged cold sandwiches and plastic cups. Pool people. This is basically how Dubai was built almost overnight. Pet cloning. Ex-boss was getting his dog cloned for $100,000. Oh, I've heard of this. There's a company in Texas that does it kinda regularly apparently now. $25,000 for a cat, $50,000 for a dog. It's something like a $1 2K deposit just for them to send your vet the kit to obtain biosamples and to store the material. You pay the rest of it whenever you're ready to clone your critter. See, I just don't get this. Had a friend whose super wealthy parents did this. Guess what? Different temperament and everything, because it's still its own animal. They thought they were getting another one of their precious snuggle baby, and this one hates to snuggle and gets into everything mischievous. No thanks. I'll always adopt. Best dogs I've ever had have been adoptions. Specialized household staff. When someone is truly mega rich, running their household takes the same complexity as running a small to mid-size company, and management is skilled and compensated accordingly. Don't think butler. Think head of operations at a luxury hotel. The staff that household managers oversee can be really specialized as well. For example, Larry Ellison has his own personal curator to oversee his collection of Asian art. They do things like advise on the purchase and sale of art in his collection, oversee storage and display of art housed on his property, oversee process of lending art for storage and display at museums. The curator will often have their own staff to conduct actual conservation work, art transport, art installation, etc. So if you've already got an in-house crew of 7 people focused on your art collection alone, imagine how big your entire household staff is. That's why you've got a household manager. Just here to say this is very accurate, and I have done consultation work for someone in this position in Canada. The home had more contemporary art per square inch than the MoMA. I asked the woman who ran the household if she had a favorite work from the very impressive collection. She told me deadpan, "Oh no, I hate contemporary art. One of my friends comes from a super wealthy family. We stopped by her parents' house and of course it's a mansion with a full staff. The lead maid took one look at me and guessed my size. From there she laid out several outfits that had been bought, but not worn for me to take home. It was surreal. A well-trained staffer can do that. They specialize in dressing and grooming. They are there to make the home and head of household perfect." Something they do that most people don't know about is buy entire libraries at once. My sister used to work at a bookstore and told me someone came in and wanted to furnish their library with a library size purchase of books. They just wanted cherry-picked bestsellers left to the discretion of the people working there. It sounded wild. Some wealthy people also buy books as decoration, with no intent of reading most of them. They buy books from wholesalers by the linear foot, specifying how the books look on the shelves, size, color, material of spine, etc., without any regard for what the books actually are. They just need to fill wall space in librarians' old office rooms in their homes. Hey, boss, how many different harem-themed manga can we order? The library could only fit 1% of them anyways. Private performances with big-name artists. I was on a yacht in the Virgin Islands and some mega yacht owner pretty close to us had Christina Aguilera flown in to perform for his guest on the mega yacht. We were close enough to see the performance, not close enough to pretend to be part of the party. I saw an interview with Penn from Penn & Teller talk about doing a private show on a yacht for one of the Microsoft guys. They paid to shut down Fire Vegas show for a week, flew Penn Teller and their crew to Asia, put them up for a week on a luxury yacht and had them do one show for Thaya friends. Here was a couple of big name bands on this cruise as well. Wasn't it Paul Allen, and he died after booking, but his friends, family said to come on down and do the show anyway. He didn't die, he just got a residency. Landing 747s in small airports. I grew up around Lexington, KY. The region is huge on horses, particularly thoroughbred horses. The entire city is surrounded by horse farms, and these farms breed some of the best racing horses in the world. The rich and famous will often come here to buy thoroughbreds to add to their breeding stock. One such person is a sheikh from Dubai, I think, who owns his own private 747. Now the local airport isn't rated for 747s, and it's not legal to land one there unless it's an emergency. The sheikh doesn't care though and lands his 747 there anyways. The airport fines him every time he does this, which he is totally fine with paying. I've been told that many of the upgrades to the airport over the years were almost entirely funded with money from those fines. In London, rich people figured out it was cheaper to just park on the streets illegally and just pay the fines every day than to pay for parking in the city. So the city started clamping cars. So the rich people started paying people to go and pay the fine for the car to be unclamped before they wanted to leave. I've heard that now, in response to this, the police have changed their policy for certain parking spots. Instead of just booting the car, they'll have it towed right away, and then scrapped. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Slam bam boom, away to the scrapyard. The rich people in London have started to take those no parking zones a bit more seriously after that. Even if they could afford to buy a new car every week, it means that they'd be out a car the moment they set food back outside. And then scrapped. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Slam bam boom, away to the scrapyard. That sounds hilariously illegal, but I honestly don't know enough about UK, London law to assert that position. Entire floors of hotels or multiple floors. Entire restaurants. Chefs from literally any restaurant in the world to cook for them. wherever they are. I saw all of those things done by a prince of Saudi Arabia. We estimated it cost him $50,000 just for the one private meal in our restaurant, given that he had the top 4 floors of our hotel booked for the hundreds of staff to take care of him, his wife and his 2 kids, plus likely some concubines, if I'm being honest. As someone in this part of the world, being rich equals the number of people who work for you. He paid $30,000 just to close our restaurant for one meal. Flew his favorite chef from New York to Orlando to cook for him, on his private jet, and then back again. Of course, it was likely the other private jet he had just for his staff, not for himself or his family. Make food our entire staff, all the kitchen staff, all the federal, state and local security and him, his wife and his 2 kids. I have posted the entire story somewhere else in the past, but I couldn't find it easily. I had a buddy who taught ski lessons to another Saudi prince's little kid and had some nearly unbelievable and yet similar details during his interactions with them. That kid had an entire team around him, or probably 10 staff, plus vehicles, snowmobiles, a helicopter, and so on. I later met a guy who worked on an ultra-luxury 300-foot yacht and served Bill Gates and his wife, among other super rich people. Their primary job was to operate without interacting with them, or at least as little as possible. This shows you, in some sense, that having people around you doing stuff you need to be done, but doing it invisibly is another perk of being rich. One private meal in our restaurant. Flew his favorite chef from New York to Orlando to cook for him. What the hell did he go to the restaurant for? The environment, decor, atmosphere of that restaurant, probably, and convenience of being able to have the meal he wanted in supposedly the town, city he was in for either work or pleasure. Private jet timeshares. For those not quite rich enough for their own private jet, or those rich people wanting to be a bit frugal, more often, it's because they want the option to get different jets. Flying with my wife, small jet will do. Flying 20 of my friends to my island. The really rich motto. If it fly, floats or frick, you rent it. I was a mechanic for a while and one of the guys used to always say this. Luxury ice cubes. Gloss Luxury Ice Co. produces perfectly square ice blocks for minimum dilution and maximum cooling. Hand carved and completely clear, these cubes are sold in bags of 50 and each bag costs $325. That's some BS. How much a drink is cool depends on how large of a surface area the ice cube has and is correlated to the rate at which the ice cube melts and thus dilutes the drink. Either you get minimum dilution by using spherical ice cubes or maximum cooling by maximizing surface area. Both at the same time is just not a thing. Yeah, but have you ever had 3 perfectly square ice cubes in your 1965 single malt? You can buy houses ready to move in only with a suitcase. These houses are more than fully equipped. Everything is already there, like the whole furniture, glasses, knives, forks, spoons, tissues and toilet paper, towels, toys and games for the children, etc. Kidnapping insurance. I worked for a major company that had employees in sketchy places, war zones. We had a blanket K&R, kidnap and ransom, policy for every employee. Basically, if any employee was kidnapped, they'd pay out X millions to professional negotiators to try and free us. I never got a chance to use it, partially because I worked in Virginia the whole time. Good to know we don't have to worry about getting kidnapped if we go to Virginia. I'm not rich and I also had kidnapping insurance when company wanted me to go on a project to Afghanistan. Insurance covered dismemberment, so my mind was at peace. Relationships. I once worked at an Olympic horse ranch in Colorado, and the owner was from Seattle and was friends with someone that played guitar Kurt Cobain. Then talking to one of the riders, they had been to a party over the weekend that Mark Zuckerberg was at. That's when it hit me. When you're rich, you just know everyone, or know someone that knows them. 6 degrees of separation is only for the masses. The elites is closer to 2 or 1. Networking is a powerful thing, and once you make it to a certain tier of people, you just know how to get a hold of them or which person you know who does. Unique items. Occasionally you see in the news stuff like hat used in some popular movie auctioned for $80,000 inches or 5,000-year-old Egyptian statue auctioned for $2 million inches, and I think, what kind of auction do you even go to buy that kind of thing? Like, who do you have to even be in the know about these auctions? A rich person. Being the heiress to the O. Henry candy bar fortune doesn't hurt. I'm not rich, but due to the fact that my dad was a top-level govt official and I went to a very elite private boarding school, I hung out with some fabulously wealthy kids, i.e. rich parents. What surprised me is what a portion of very rich people don't buy. I noticed that a surprising percentage of very wealthy people don't buy super fancy cars. For example, one family who owned a world-famous beverage company all drove around in nondescript SUVs or minivans. Some rich people are extremely flashy, but others are almost manic about not being seen as crass, and to those people, a supercar is crass, but apparently having a $10 million home in Palm Beach is not crass. Money talks, wealth whispers, living on credit screams. A platinum retriever. And here I am with my bronze retriever. I'm so poor I can only afford a real retriever. I thought they were joking because of golden retrievers. Standalone ice machines. These are under-counter appliances whose sole purpose is to make ice, and not just any ice. The cheaper, $2,000 plus, ones make normal crescent-shaped cubes. The more expensive one, $3,000 plus, make clear ice in cube shapes. And then pallet ice makers, $4,000 plus, which is the chibble ice like Sonic has. These are the more entry-level models to boot. Some break 5 digits. I used to work for a manufacturer of these, and at some point a lady was arguing with me because we were shipping a replacement part ground instead of next day air, and she made a snide comment about if it were my ice machine she'd bet it wouldn't take this long. I told her, "Ma'am, I don't have an ice machine." She snapped back all proud like she'd cornered me with, "Then how do you get ice?" I told her from an ice tray, and she replied with, "Well, I don't have to do that." Yeah, well, for the next 3-5 business days you do, bitch. I do not miss that job at all. Pro tip for those who like Sonic Ice, but are short $4,000. You can buy it by the 10-pound bag at Sonic $4 $1.99 plus tax. Secret. Trapdoors with hidden rooms. What mansion doesn't come with these standard? Come on. If I ever have enough to build a mansion, the plan is to have a bunch of secret doors and rooms in it. But the architect is not to tell me where they are. I want to find them on my own. Underage sex parties on private islands. You don't have to go to a private island to be on an underage sex party. You just need some contacts in a third world country. This happens all the time in my country. Health and happiness. Seriously. My ex-wife's family was uber wealthy, and for a few years I got to experience a slice of how the other half live. It really is like a club. But staying on topic, health. Everyone had a ton of meds, minor things you wouldn't pay any attention to they had meds for. Red skin from the sun, meds. Going through a tough month at work, they got pills for anxiety at the drop of a hat by their family doctor who was on speed dial. School stressing you out? You now have ADHD, here's meds to focus. The more money you have, the less of a doctor you have and more of a legal drug dealer you get. As for the happinesses part, that just comes with the comfort of wealth. Their house was massive, and in the quiet, gorgeous countryside outside of the city. There's so much you don't consider when you live middle to lower class. Noise is non-existent. You get so used to it living in a city or even in the suburbs. Their house. Couldn't see the neighbors. Can't hear anything except birds chirping. The street was so far from the house you couldn't hear the cars driving by. It was peace and silence. The thing is, it's exponential. If you're healthy and happy, you can work better, think clearer, and that leads to better life decisions that result in you making more money. The cycle repeats. They treated their health as an investment. If they were healthy, they made more money. If they made more money, they could afford to be healthier. Casual travel. The poor know that planes exist and that people travel overseas. The rich go to Paris for the weekend to catch up with friends for a couple of beers and wine. Growing up, my family typically flew or drove somewhere once a year on top of a car trip or two at other points in the year as small vacations. I couldn't quite wrap my head around people I met later who would leave the country for the weekend on a moment's notice. Before this, to me travel always meant at least a few months, more typically at least half a year of knowing where and when you were going somewhere with a considerable amount of planning. Something I didn't even know existed until a month ago is a pot filler that's attached on the wall behind a stove so you can fill pots with water without having to carry them. Maybe not super expensive, but seems like something rich people would have. Like a tap? Pretty smart. Access. Money buys you access to people, places and events. It also buys you inaccessibility. I know a couple of billionaires. Both have yachts. That way they can get away from everyone else and just bring in the people they want to spend time with. The planet isn't that big, so my friend said he kept bumping into the same people all over the place. Gstad, Barbados, wherever. Same crowd of loaded people in the same restaurants and hotels. In the end he bought a yacht, kitted it out like he wanted it, and just flew in his pals. How do you know a couple of billionaires? Massively undervalued private company went public at exactly the right time. It peaked at about $12 billion and my pal had kept 1.3, although it was in various trusts. The co-founder also got seriously wealthy too. One of the most popular commodities being invested in today is water, which is kind of scary when you really think about it. Extremely scary, actually. For most people, a car is a depreciating asset. From the moment you buy it, it starts to go down in value. For ultra-wealthy car collectors, they are able to access limited edition cars that go up in value immediately. For example, McLaren only made 375 P1s that they sold for $1.5 M. They are now worth easily over $3 million. The challenge is it takes more than just money to get one of these. With only a few hundred models to allocate, and with them immediately earning their owners a profit, the manufacturer will look at a number of criteria to decide who gets one, including how many models of their regular cars you have purchased. If are offered a Ferrari LaFerrari Aperta for $2.2 M, you probably own 5 plus other Ferraris and you just bought a pair of matching Portofinos for your twins who are going off to college. Designer babies. Other people's designer babies. I don't know. If you were rich, you could afford a person to fix that. Time. All that crap you do. Commuting, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning your house, waiting on hold, paying bills. All those chunks of your life that are eaten up by minutiae. Rich people buy out of all that routine garbage. Time is all you really get in your life. Rich people buy it back. Honestly, my first thought, when I figured out I could pay people to do my chores for me, I felt like I hacked the system. I kind of like cleaning and laundry, now that I'm an adult. It's relaxing. Like meditation. This is really not a bad way to look at life even if you aren't wealthy. I have a kid and a small business to run, so now when the guy I met in economics class 9 years ago hits me up on Facebook, and asks me to drive 45 minutes through traffic to catch up over a beer, I really have to think about whether it's a good use of my time. Gold pills that make your poop golden colored. I'm not even making it up. Look it up. I thought you were making a joke. No, this is really a thing. Why? Same reason people, but edible gold on food. Because they can. College admissions for their kids. Politicians. The pool know about this. They also know they can't afford it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos every day.